What's up, everybody? This is the Monday Morning Podcast. I'm Bill Burr. Oh, wait. I was fucking with you.
Hi, Bill.
No. It's me, Steve, and this is Horribly Off Topic.
With Steve.
I'm Steve.
And Steve.
Bill.
Well, you're Bill.
No. You're Bill.
I'm Bill.
No. Neither of us are Bill.
No,
Stop it!
No, you're Bill.
Okay, sure. Don't you have a cousin, Bill?
I do have a cousin, Bill, and an uncle, Bill, and a brother-in-law, Bill. Although technically, you know what I found out recently?
What?
While doing family history, which is the most interesting hobby ever.
I'm not even going to give you a response with that.
Is that technically, so the Bill that I just mentioned, the brother-in-law Bill, is not really my brother-in-law. He is my sister-in-law's husband, according to the sort of genealogy standards.
How does that work?
He's not.
So he's like, okay, yeah, but that's still your brother-in-law.
But if I look at relationship on my family tree on like Ancestry.com or in my family tree maker, it says sister-in-law's husband or husband of sister-in-law.
Yeah, but that does just because you're not blood related to the people that are.
But nobody that I'm related to by blood or by law is. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of bills in my family. That was the
I got a lot of bills in my mailbox.
I got a lot of bills in my wallet.
Why do you put them in your wallet?
No, I don't. Well, like bills, like dollar bills, y'all.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't really. I have more in my wallet than I usually do because this past week I was visiting the internship sites of my students.
Oh.
And a lot of those are in Boston, and I thought maybe I might need parking money. I did not. So I took out a 20, and I ended up with, all this change that is just sitting in my wallet now, waiting to be spent, burning a hole in my pocket.
All right, so I've got an update.
An update?
Like, you remember on Unsolved Mysteries when they would have update?
Update, like, yes, I loved that friggin' show. It scared the crap out of me.
And so, like, yeah, they would be like, update, and then we caught the murderer, and be like, yay!
Yeah.
So,
was it Adnan?
It was Adnan.
Sorry, you have an update.
I have
Wait, what was the other guy? Not Adnan. Jay. It was Jay.
It was definitely Jay.
It's definitely Jay.
No, don't say that because then Jay would be after us. So yeah, I was remember last week the BitFest 2 electronic.
I do remember that. I do.
There's a couple of pieces that were missing from the story that I found
that
out
have just come in.
This
Hence
new
the update.
New shit has come to light, man. So I was told that when we got to the train station, I was having trouble getting through the thing. I had like I have the ticket there, and it probably still has the passes on it.
Yeah.
Because like I was just standing there. I wasn't going through, and I wasn't getting the thing out of my wallet. I think I was like broke because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I was blackout drunk, and I think somebody helped me, like, because.
They take you through the handicapped one?
Yeah. And I think somebody just opened it up for me. Like,
so you probably have like a Charlie card or a Charlie ticket. Important distinction I've discovered.
I have the Charlie ticket.
Charlie ticket.
I get to pay a little bit more because I never got a Charlie card. But I think you can get them pretty easily.
You were supposed to be able to get them for free, but every window that I encountered on my trip through Boston this week was no Charlie cards available. I was like, great. Well, whatever. I pay the extra money. I get reimbursed anyway. It's a business expense.
Wow, look at you!
I know. Anyway, so you were having trouble getting through.
I managed to get through, but that was the update.
Update. So that guy. What was it? Robert Stack? Was it Robert Stack?
I think Robert Stack.
Robert Stack. I think so. And he was what was his name? He was the Optimus Prime wannabe in The Transformers, the movie, the 80s cartoon. He was the guy who kind of like picked up the Matrix of leadership, put it in his chest, and then he got himself blown to hell. And then Galvatron ended up with the Matrix for a little while, and then eventually Judd Nelson Prime. He got it, and he turned into Judd Nelson Prime instead of just Judd Nelson.
Is this like a gag that
no,
it's just
really,
the people that were voicing him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that kind of. I mean, it was not Judd Nelson Prime. It was he was Hot Rod.
Okay.
He was Hot Rod when he was regular Judd Nelson, and then Rodimus Prime when he was.
I don't remember this. We need to have Leo on if we're gonna have like a Transformers conversation.
But I cannot. All of this was because it's driving me crazy that I cannot remember who Robert Stack's character was. Ultra Magnus.
Oh,
Ultra Magnus, like a condom name.
He was also in Caddyshack 2. He was like the Judge Smales character.
Oh, okay.
The Ted Knight guy, and he was not as good. Obviously, Ted Knight is one of the better. Yeah. Like, I mean, everybody's like, oh, Rodney or Bill Murray or Chevy Chase. Ted Knight is that fucking movie.
You know, if your claim to fame in movies is Transformers the movie, you probably, a little bit. But you're probably second tier.
I'm trying to think of what else he was in. He was in that basketball movie, but he was playing the Unsolved Mysteries guy.
Oh, okay. Well, what does it say? Mostly, if you were in Transformers, you were kind of slumming it, or you were second tier. But you know who was in Transformers the movie?
Who?
Leonard Nimoy.
Oh yeah. All right, I've made this joke several times this week, and everybody just gives me a blank stare.
Okay.
And I was just like, well, we're gonna shoot his sunglasses case out of the ship, and he's gonna go off into the horizon, into the sun. And they were like, huh? And I'm like, have you ever seen Star Trek 3? Oh, wait, no, it was a 2. It was the end of 2.
It was at the end of 2, yeah.
The end of 2, and then 3 was the search for him.
Did they just repeat it in 3?
They might have done
it in the opening.
They might have done it.
I think the opening might be like the sunglasses case, like shooting through the galaxy and ending up on the planet.
Yeah, and then we got a brand new Spock, but no more new Spock this time.
No more new Spock. Nope. I mean, we'll get new Spock, Zach Quinto, but we won't get new Spock talking to old Spock.
Yeah, with his crazy choppers.
Yeah. That's really. I mean, it's sad. I don't know. Seems like a good guy.
It is a bummer. He's local. He's from like in the Boston area.
Yeah.
I think he grew up in maybe Cambridge or it might have been Boston proper. Who knows?
Yeah.
I didn't do any research, so whatever I say is true.
I'm trying to remember who he played in Transformers the movie. I think he played Galvatron. I think they had the regular voice of Megatron playing Megatron in the opening part of the movie, and then when Megatron dies, spoilers, and gets resurrected by Orson Welles Akron.
Yeah.
That is when Galvatron rises up from the ashes of Megatron, and I think Galvatron was voiced by Leonard Nimoy. I think.
There's a French champagne by Paul Masson. You ever saw those? We definitely talked about this before.
What?
The Orson Welles wine or the champagne
ads?
I
mean, we might have. Yeah.
The French.
I was in a show. I was in a play a couple years ago about the performance of War of the Worlds that like scared everyone, like the radio performance of War of the Worlds. That's what the show was about. That Orson Welles directed. It would have been in the 30s or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I was in that show. There's a guy playing Wells, and the guy who directed the show and wrote the show is a huge fan of Orson Welles. And the two of them were having this like long banter about Welles' career, and I didn't contribute, but pretty much the only thing I had to say was that Orson Welles was Unicron in the Transformers the movie, and that he creeped the fuck out of me when he was the special guest host of a special on Nostradamus when I was a kid.
Oh.
So my only I've never seen the sled movie,
sled movie? Oh,
Rosebud, whatever the fuck
Citizen
that movie's
Kane.
called. Citizen Kane. Never seen that.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that I haven't seen it either, because every film nut that listens to our show is gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with the both of you?"
Now they're just gonna say, "What the fuck is wrong with me?" because you didn't say it.
No, I said it.
You said it without saying it.
I said it without saying it.
Yeah. Okay. So they can plausible deniability. Yeah. You can say, I didn't say I didn't see it. It was only Chris who said he didn't see it.
Yeah. I think I did say that I didn't see it.
You might have.
Who knows? I'm just confusing people now.
Yeah, so Leonard Nimoy died, and that was a bummer.
The thing is, like, I think
that actually happened while I was... I talked about that before the show. Not important. Anyway, that happened during a very frustrating, like, hour between classes for me on Friday. when I was really pissed off about something that I'm not going to get into here.
Yeah, don't get into it because you got to tell your students to listen to the show just so they stop bothering you.
And at any rate, so I was pissed off about something that happened in class. I walk out to go out to get lunch, and I open up Twitter, and the first thing I see is that Leonard Nimoy has died. And I was like, great! Lovely.
Well, the thing is, like, how old was he?
He was 83. I mean, it's not something to be really sad about. And in fact, he had, I'll see if I can find for the show notes, he had some really funny tweets over the last, because he was actually pretty active on Twitter over the last month or so, where he had COPD, which is, I didn't realize what it actually meant. Or is it COPD? Cardiopulmonary something.
Oh, I thought he had
or CPOD.
A cop.
He had it as a result of smoking years and years and years ago. And he had a funny tweet about the fact that I stopped smoking, but not soon enough. And
well, hopefully, I stopped soon enough.
Hopefully, we got to do lots of these. We got to get to like 500. I think when we get to 500 episodes, we can stop.
No. We can't stop. It's too dangerous. We got to slow down.
Can't stop, won't stop.
All right. Well, let's get to 50 first.
All right. Yeah. Let's
not set the bar too high.
Yeah. Well, we're at 31 right now.
Yes.
Important to note.
Why?
Because we can say that the show notes for the episode can be found at clarkwoods.com/hot/31.
Yes.
Which we hadn't said yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, it was sad.
But I think it's less sad when someone dies
when he's 83.
Old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there was, what was it? Robin Williams died over the summer.
Yeah.
He wasn't 83. He
right.
was significantly younger.
Yeah.
I think he's probably around our folks' age. Maybe a little bit older than our folks.
Yeah. No, he's about that. He's about the age of our dads or moms. Somewhere, maybe a little bit older.
Yeah.
But not much older.
So, yeah, that would be shocking. That would be a total bummer. And, so, yeah.
But he's I mean, he gave us plenty of cool stuff, including the Transformers and that Star Trek movie
and the other Star Trek movies.
Favorite Star Trek movie? 4, absolutely, totally agree with you. My favorite
I like time travel, and I always like shit that when they go around the sun and then they go and he's swimming with the fucking whales.
Yeah, right. And there's the big boombox, and he gives him the Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yeah,
on the bus. My favorite Star Trek movies before the reboot were both the time travel ones. So that one, and then number 6, I think it's 6, it might be 7, I don't know. The first Next Generation one where they were totally on their own. I might have talked about
Generations?
This. No, because that one still had
Kirk in it. You're right.
It was the following one called First Contact, where they accidentally end up in the past, and the Borg is trying to take over Earth before Earth has a chance to make first contact. And it's not really that great.
Was that the one with Worf with the purple base bazooka?
Yes, maybe, kind of. Now I know we've talked about this. I must have
because I've definitely said Worf in the purple space bazooka.
Yeah, it's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. More like an extended episode of The Next Generation. But I think that was my favorite.
Did you ever see that episode of The Next Generation? I probably talked about this before. Where Riker was playing some sort of video game that was attached to his head, and
no.
And he when you complete a level or whatever, it gives you endorphins, and it looks like he just came in his pants. It's at the beginning of the episode, but I forget what it's called. Gina, if you know, send us an email about it. And then we'll put it in the show notes or something.
That's funny.
Or we'll talk about it next time and be like, watch this episode. It's really funny.
I can't picture playing video games with virtual reality. I don't know. It's maybe. I
don't have people started doing it because they have the Oculus
Rift, right?
Yeah, they have that.
Yeah, and of course there's. Well, I mean,
the Virtual Boy, which is really great.
But I don't know. I was hanging out with someone the other night who was saying that they were actually intrigued by virtual reality, and I was just like,
if you're strapping a thing to your head, then it's not gonna work.
No.
You need to have something else. If it was something like the thing that Riker had on,
right,
where it was just like glasses, and it kind of just went over.
Right
over his eyes, and then that's how we got the experience.
Then maybe
because I wear glasses anyways, so
right.
that would be just a normal thing for me. Be like, oh, I'm just this is me wearing glasses.
Yeah.
and not just had a fucking weird helmet strapped to my head, and I'm not, because that would take me out of whatever virtual reality.
I mean, I could see possibly if it becomes this whole if by putting virtual reality glasses on it becomes a fully immersive thing, then maybe I would have an easier time with it. But I honestly have, we were talking last week about how I couldn't play the One Piece game on my phone.
Here's a picture.
There we go. Okay, yeah. That would be bad.
So yeah, those little things in front of his eyes,
right?
But that's him having his little,
it does kind of look like he's having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time. The more buttons, the more controls, the more whatever come into a video game, the less I want to play it.
All right, so hold on. Because I saw this and you were like, oh, the NES controller was
the
perfect.
NES controller was pretty damn perfect. It was a directional and a 2 friggin' buttons.
It wasn't necessarily comfortable to hold though, because it was it was like completely square, not rounded at all. All right, so where I think they peaked, and they've just been kind of making variations on it since, was the Super Nintendo controller.
Now the Super Nintendo had 4 buttons.
So basically, it was like a PlayStation controller without the nubbins on the side, on the bottom here.
Right.
So basically, and only one trigger on other.
It did have trigger. I was thinking it didn't have triggers, but you're right. It had
the L and R buttons.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
Did you have to use those for many things? Because that's the.
Occasionally, I remember at least. When I would be playing Earthbound, like you could play one-handed,
right?
Because like the A button was also the L button,
right?
So you could just walk around and then push the trigger button so you could.
And it was when they got
in case you wanted to jack off to Earthbound.
It was when who didn't, right?
Unless you were left-handed, and then you're just boned.
Well, or not boned because you can't jerk off. Or you could be boning. I mean, if you were left-handed, you could get boned while you were playing the game. It's just a little contortion, right?
Right.
Have you ever had sex while playing a video game?
No.
Okay.
I've been okay. This was a while ago, but I remember it was somebody I dated very briefly, and then we eventually did get into the nookie making,
right?
And then a little bit later, she was. I was just in my boxers, but she was completely nude, and she was playing video games just nude.
Yeah,
and it was kind of weird.
To turn you on a little bit, lady playing.
No,
video games in the nude?
I was spent.
You were spent. Okay, all right.
So, but no, it was neat. I guess it was silly, but it wasn't necessarily sexy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
maybe if she was going like this with her glasses, got her like, I'm playing video games.
I'm sad that only I could see that.
I'm sorry if I turned you on a little bit too much. Back up a little bit from your boner.
Back up. It was when they went to Super Nintendo. No, sorry, when they went to N64 that they added the little nubbins, right?
Well, as far as the sort of analog stick.
Yeah, the analog stick.
As opposed to just the D-pad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an interesting design. Like, it was like a trident.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I remember that one.
So
that one wasn't too bad, but I still think
the thing is, this isn't bad. It hasn't changed much since Super Nintendo.
I know, but I don't. There's too many buttons. Why do I need that many buttons?
You only really use these for and that or this basically.
Okay.
Occasionally you have to use the triggers.
But why do I have all the buttons?
Just because it makes things easier.
No, but that's the thing, is that it doesn't make it easier, because now I got to figure out which button. When there's only 2 buttons.
Yeah, but a lot of games will if you go and look at the book, like this game right here, you look at the booklet.
Yeah.
You just open it up, and it's like, oh, here's what you do. Here's what the buttons do.
It's just a lot.
Oh, I have to read for 5 seconds.
Hey, listen. When we would get a video game when I was a kid, what would happen, generally speaking, and this may speak to why I suck at video games, was that my dad and my brother would sit down on the floor with the game console. They would start playing, and they would throw the instruction book back at me. And every once in a while, when they couldn't figure out how to do something, they'd say, "Hey, Chris, how do you do this?" So I was the one that read the instruction book. So in theory, I knew what the hell to do with a game. And then when it came to actually playing the game, I had no fucking clue.
But this was back in NES days, and so that's when the controller was simple as you wanted it to be.
As I wanted it to be. So then eventually...
even when it was simple, you still weren't good.
Yeah, even when it was simple, I still sucked at it. I did finally, when I was 33, 34 years old, finally beat a Mario game.
Which one?
I beat, was it New Super Mario Brothers for the Wii? The red one.
This one right here?
The red one. Yes, New Super Mario Brothers Wii. I finally beat that. Melody was a baby. I was unemployed. I was still working at the college, but the other full-time job that I'd taken on for a couple months around the time of Melody's birth, that had let me go. So she would fall asleep in my lap, and I didn't want to get up, so I would reach for the Wii controller and I would play the game. And when I finally won, I was so excited.
Did you leap up and she flew off your lap?
She fell
across
off my lap,
the room,
which is why she's so disturbed today. Yeah, she
doesn't like video games. Daddy threw me across the room because of this.
No, but there were those parts. I wasn't one of the mechanics in New Super Mario in that game that you had to sort of rock the controller up and down to make Mario fly.
At a certain point, when you had the little propeller hat or whatever, you could shake the controller.
And that was the thing. Is so she might have her head resting in the crook of my arm, which was fine if I didn't have to use the little propeller hat. And then if I had to use the little propeller hat, it became a strategy to see could I shake just my wrists to get propeller hat Mario to work without waking up the kid.
I'm trying to think of the Mario games that I haven't beat.
Yeah, that's the only one that I've beaten.
I've beaten 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
I never played I only briefly played the Galaxy games, so I can't say that I beat those.
Yeah.
Super Mario RPG, and then the other ones.
I sucked at them. The only ones I was ever really good at were ones that weren't action games. So I was decent at. We had a Nintendo. We had a Nintendo version of Carmen Sandiego that I wasn't bad at. Why there was a Nintendo version of Carmen Sandiego, I couldn't tell you, but I wasn't bad at that one. And you know which one I was good at? Wizardry, which was I
was never good at that game. So you are the only person I think I've ever met that has played.
But Wizardry was not even. I mean, it should have just been a computer RPG, right? It was just.
It was probably, and there was just a Nintendo port.
Yeah, and I mean, you just sort of, and maybe I wasn't that good at it. Maybe it's just that everyone else was bad at it too, so I didn't feel inadequate.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Well, you should just play Dragon Warrior or something like that.
Dragon Warrior. I don't think I was very good at that either.
How do you be good or bad at an RPG? Basically, all you have to do is just grind out levels, and then because if you get to a certain point and you're the enemies are too hard, you basically just go back to where you were, gain a level or two, and then try again.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't have patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a girlfriend once who the previous guy she'd been with.
Stop lying to me.
I did have a girlfriend once.
Okay.
Or twice, but not 3 times.
Was this the losing the religion or whatever?
No. This is not the girl that I lost my religion with. I guess, is that actually what that means? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
No. The first girl that I ever went on a date with, she, I think her previous boyfriend, their song had been "Patience" by Guns N' Roses.
Oh, that's good.
So I liked that song, but I could not listen to it around her. Not that our relationship lasted that long. She actually was making out with another dude on our first date.
What?
So
I need to know that what wasn't hey
I can't just skip past that one.
Yeah, that's not first date equal if I went out on a date with somebody, first date, and then they started making out with somebody else, there would not have been a second date.
I don't know that there was a second date. There was kind of a second date where she broke up with me because she was going to start going out with the other guy. But it was kind of a date. Like she said, like let's hang out.
This is just high school stuff because like
it was just
because like if you go on a date, like you know, you're not an item.
No, yeah.
So you wouldn't have to break up with somebody if I don't know, whatever.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah. If you go on a date, you don't need to break up with somebody. It was a situation. I was 16. I'd still never been 16. Maybe getting closer to 17. I don't know. No, 16. And I'd never been on a date. And my friend Ken, hi Ken.
Does he listen now?
I don't know. No, but I'm saying hi in case he goes on like a
binge.
A binge. He's like, I got to find all the places where I was ever mentioned, and he goes on a binge. So when he's 60 and he's listening to this, he's like, oh, this is no, can't do a 60-year-old.
Apparently he goes.
Ken set me up on a blind date with this girl who was blind. What's that?
Who was blind. Luckily.
And
I'm sorry.
She we meet at the Roller Kingdom in good old getting local for you at the good old Tingsboro, Massachusetts, next to where there was a strip club for a number of years.
Yes, because we can't go a couple of episodes without talking about one of those. Wait. There was because I can't go an episode or two without talking about fucking pinball. I remember going there because I fucking sucked at skating, and I would just go there and play I think later on they had a Medieval Madness machine.
Okay, yeah.
And I would go there and play the shit out of that.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody that I went to Roller Kingdom with actually went there to skate.
It was just like a social thing. I think it was like almost every other Friday night.
Every Friday night was metal night.
Oh.
At least for a period, like when I would have been
that must have explained why Kyle was often there.
So like when I was a junior in high school, I think pretty much every night was metal night. Every Friday night rather. And so
I think it was middle school was the time I went there more, but yeah, like Medieval Madness, the time frame that's more like mid 90s. So so it might have been freshman year, or something like that.
Yeah, I went on a date, and
did you guys skate?
It was a blind.
Did you hold hands?
We did not hold hands. I don't think.
Did you eat pizza? Bad pizza, like cafeteria pizza?
Probably. We met there. I think she was.
Did you like wrap your arms around like each other's arms and like eat each other's slices like you would with glasses of wine?
No. I mean, here's the thing. I
was trying to do romantic things.
I went on a couple dates with a couple different girls that year
at the Roller Kingdom.
With that girl at the Roller Kingdom, and then at the mall. With the next girl twice to the Route 3
crazy
cinema.
Sexy dates at the mall.
Yep.
What did you do at the fucking mall?
At the mall? Well, that was the one where like we hung out, and then she took me aside because we were hanging out with the other guy, the guy that she made out with.
That idiot. I'm sorry if you may. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're the idiot in this situation because maybe you thought that it was a date, and maybe she was just like, "This isn't a date."
Maybe. Well, it apparently it was maybe a date until she saw what I looked like, and then she decided it wasn't a date. I don't know.
Like the girl from North Carolina.
Yep. And people wonder why I have issues.
Yeah, I wonder, huh?
Yeah, no, and then the second girl was introduced to me by that first girl. We went on 2 dates, but here's the thing: between those 2 girls, I don't think I ever held their hands. I don't think I ever put my arm around them. I think
Did you get a little bit inside?
Yeah, that happened. Wow. I might have.
Did you use that Ninja Turtle gum?
I did not use the
call back.
I might have gotten a hug from each of them after we stopped dating. Like after we stopped dating, I think I got the hug that was kind of like, oh, now we're friends.
Get a little boob pressage, nice.
A little bit, yeah. That was about as. It wasn't until my third quote unquote girlfriend that anything happened. Like even holding hands.
See, I mean, I can't talk. Like back in high school, I was pretty much dud ski as far as anything like that goes. So
yeah,
I can't judge you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I can.
You can judge me. Everyone out there can judge me.
Yeah, I totally can. It doesn't mean I'm right in doing it.
Why did I start talking about that?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
You always go on these like weird, sad tangents.
That's the story of my life. Video game.
Hold on.
That might have been worse. I can't remember.
I got something. So, all right. Yesterday, like, I get up at probably about 7 or something. And then, like, there's this weird sound coming from, like, the boiler room, which is right next to my wall that we're sitting next to right here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So I guess the hot water heater was on the fritz because, like, very soon afterwards the hot water was gone.
Oh, wonderful.
And I was just like, oh, man, I want to bathe. And I was just like... what do I do? So I started... You think I'm dumb.
So I'm reserving judgment.
I filled the bathtub about halfway up with regular cold water.
Okay.
And then I started boiling water in pots and in my tea kettle on the stove,
okay.
So I could
cold water or lukewarm water when you filled the tub.
Well, it couldn't. It was whatever.
Okay, whatever temperature came.
Yeah, whatever came out. And it wasn't intentionally cold, but it was cold.
Right. Okay.
So I just kept on pouring hot boiling water into the tub. And to warm it up, and this fucking didn't work. It was such a fucking failure. And I'm like, isn't this how people used to take baths?
I would imagine it's how people.
I guess I need a bigger pot or something.
I think we're gonna need a bigger pot.
But yeah, and so like it took forever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this sucks. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I can go to the gym.
You could go to the gym.
So I went. I didn't want to go to the gym that I go to because like that's a little more skeevier, and I know that. But so I drove to work because we have a gym on site at work.
You drove to work.
I drove to work
to take a shower.
And I have to badge in, so they're probably like, why the fuck did he go?
Did he come in?
Why did he come in like on
Saturday
for like a half an hour or so, or whatever?
Yeah,
however long it took me. And so it throat bubble. So yeah, I drove to work to take a shower so I could be bathed. It was just, but it was I tried to do.
You did try.
I was
you were trying to fucking MacGyver that shit. And it's just
I was in the tub.
You're as successful at MacGyver as I am at video games.
I was like trying to do what you do like when you're going in the ocean.
Like you mean like pee?
No, you put your feet in the water just to like try to like get used to the temperature.
Okay, yeah.
And then you just kind of like slowly. But there was a lot less water because there was water in the bathtub.
Right.
And so it's just like this isn't working. And I got up to my knees and I was just like, this is way too fucking cold. It was so bad. Like I tried so hard to fucking take a bath.
Yep.
And I'm like, how does anybody fucking take a bath?
I don't know. I think grown men are not supposed to take baths. I think it might be one of those weird laws that's on.
I think that's why, like like it was such a failure because, like, I think like the water gods were like, you're not supposed to be taking a bath. No. I think the last time I took a bath was probably when I was like 16 when I got poison ivy and I took like the oatmeal bath or whatever.
I don't know if I've ever gotten it sort of extensively enough over my body that I really needed to.
If you have like celiac disease and you have like a gluten allergy, can you take an oatmeal bath or will that cause problems?
I think it might be causing some problems
because like if you can't consume it, but
you can't consume it. Well, but I mean, I would imagine exposing your skin to it is probably not that much better. I would think.
All right, scientists out there, send us an email about fucking taking oatmeal baths when you're...
Clark at hotwoods.com. Call back. Hot at clarkwoods.com.
I was like, wait, is that the right one? I had to think about it.
So I saw a Facebook pest. Yeah, that's what most Facebook things are.
Yes.
But I saw a Facebook post, and maybe it was on Twitter too, I can't remember, by a friend of the show, Matt.
Who has been on the show.
Who has been on the show, yeah. And he
Episode 21, so that was 10 episodes ago.
10? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like that was that long ago.
It was around the holidays.
Yeah. So Matt was doing a marathon of a particular film series with his kid, who's, I guess, old enough to... Was the kid born back at the holidays?
Yeah, the kid was just a baby.
Yeah, baby. But now the kid is apparently old enough to watch Star Wars.
I guess so.
I mean, I was just like...
she's really young. Like
she's really young, but I gotta say, for Matt, I'm very proud. I'm very proud. You got it.
Yeah,
it's probably way too loud, yeah. But I did something similar when my kids were that small, or when my first kid was that small, because by the time my second kid was that small, my first kid was now like 4 years old, and you had to sort of like decide whether or not she would get freaked out by anything that was in the movies. And the running commentary was pretty damn funny. If it's on Twitter, if it's public, I'll try to link it up in the show notes, but it might have just been on Facebook. It did raise the question for me.
What's that?
And I can't remember if we've talked about this before. What episode, what order do you watch the... Now, I think Matt was just showing the classic trilogy, episodes 4 through...
Well, the only way you're going to actually see the classic trilogy is on VHS.
Okay. So the special... maybe he was watching the special... I don't know. He's watching the original 3 movies that came out in whatever form he was watching them. I think he would. No, it must have been special editions because I think he had a Jabba joke in there somewhere.
Okay.
In episode 4, where Jabba isn't traditionally.
Freaking stupid computer animation bullshit nonsense with Han. Just
all right,
that scene didn't need to fucking be there. I'm sorry, George Lucas. The movie was better with fucking out it.
Okay.
Sorry.
So assuming you're gonna show your kids all 6 movies, assuming I'm gonna show my kids all 6 movies, right? They're
I don't have any kids yet that I know.
Okay, so we'll assume for my kids they're
the
going to be
girl that was
they're going to be 9 and 5 within the next month.
Your kids are going to be 9 and 5. What a way to make a living! Blah, 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 blah. Singing songs on the podcast.
What order do I show them the episodes?
4, 5, and 6, and you pretend that 1, 2, and 3 don't exist.
No, that doesn't work that way. They are going to be aware culturally that these other things exist.
Yes, but like, okay, are you familiar with Godfather, the movie Godfather?
I am familiar with Godfather.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, well, apparently...
Pause for somebody throwing their microphone, or throwing something at their phone. At their phone. Throwing their phone.
They could throw
something.
the phone. Yeah, like
you haven't seen Godfather?
So Godfather, there's 3 of them.
Yes.
I
saw the third one.
I've never seen the third one.
Yeah.
But because everyone says the third one's bullshit, don't bother.
Right.
And guess what? I've seen the first 2, and that's all I really need to see.
Okay.
I feel like if I really like need to know what happens like with these characters, but no, I'm good. Like the first 2 were good. But
I am an apologist to a certain extent for the prequel trilogy.
Why?
Because I think that there's interesting stuff that happens there.
Like what?
In between a lot of boring shit.
Like what? Like what interesting? Like what? Oh, Boba Fett's there. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised they didn't shoehorn Han into this.
No, I'm surprised, but they could have, I suppose. I think they're casting Han, a young Han, for a future spin-off movie. I've heard,
like a J.J. Abrams,
the
pre.
Yeah,
like
now
Han and Chewie pre-meeting Luke or something.
Right. Yeah, something like that.
Well, that would actually be kind of cool. I'm getting a beer right now.
That could be cool. So I have read, and this is why I think maybe we've talked about it before. I have read about a thing called the Machete Order, which I think is interesting. And the Machete Order is, and I might get this wrong, you can email me, but I think it's 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. Right? So you don't show episode 1 at all.
Well, 1 doesn't need to exist at all because
it just doesn't.
Okay, well, all right.
But
all right. So I'm gonna go. Okay. Hold on.
All right.
If like a lot has been said on like at least the Red Letter Media guys. The thing that bothered me the most, as far as the prequels go, is that Anakin.
Yeah.
He becomes this Jedi, and
right.
like by the second movie.
Yes.
Like he's established. Well, he's not a Jedi, but he's still like
he's a Padawan.
Yeah.
He's an upper level.
He's an upper level like student,
apprentice,
whatever.
Yeah.
So like he's doing this shit, and for some unknown reason, his mother is still living on Tatooine as a slave.
Yes.
Now, like the issue initially was that Watto, the little flying bug shit thing,
right? Yes.
Like didn't want to sell 2 slaves for the pod or whatever.
Right. Yep.
Now when they go back to Coruscant or whatever, like they could have just like, hey, can we have some cash so we can buy this kid's mother too?
Attachments, right? Why would they want to buy the kid's mother? because they want him to be free of attachments, don't they?
Is that what? But the thing is, like,
His
mother's a slave. Like, we could buy her and then put her in a place that's nice and not in fucking a desert. Like, we could buy her off the fucking guy and buy her freedom.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
She could do what she wants. She doesn't have to fucking go to the Capitol.
Okay. What if there's a conspiracy?
What, a Jedi conspiracy? Because
they really need.
So Palpatine was like, "Well, we can't afford it.
We can't afford Shmi. Can't afford her. Keep her locked up because I'm gonna need her to get killed by some swamp. No, not swamp people. Sand people.
No, like the. And another thing is that, what did she do for Watto?
I don't know.
Like, if you looked at like their plays,
but by the second
this
movie,
was something that was addressed in the Red Letter Media guy.
By the second movie, she doesn't belong to Watto anymore.
So what the fuck?
She got bought by not Skywalker, by Lars, by Klieg Lars, and then he set her free, and she became his wife. So who knows how quickly that happened? Just to be fair, we don't know. So by the second episode, she doesn't belong to Watto.
So
I'm not making that shit up. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying,
like immediately afterwards, they should have just bought like her freedom.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, but Qui-Gon,
and so that takes out the him going bonkers and going to the dark side, because that's what happens in 3. And I'm like, why is she still in fucking Tatooine? Why is she still living in the fucking desert? Her son's a fucking Jedi.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything for because the Jedi have sworn off all their. I mean, let's be clear. It's kind of stupid, all the stuff that revolves around the Jedi. It's kind of stupid that, the last Jedi Council only happened 20 years ago, and yet Han is, by the time of Episode 4, is like, I'm not spooky ancient religions. No, it's not a spooky ancient religion. It was a fucking religion 20 years ago, you fucking dumb motherfucker.
In your lifetime.
In your lifetime. It's, and same thing with the which Imperial officer is it that says it, the same thing? You're the last. It says to Vader, you're the last of your ancient religion, and but
well, he kind of was though. It was him and Palpatine, and then
but
Luke.
Taken the way that and of course the actors in Episode 4 couldn't have possibly known what was going to happen many years down the line. But the way they deliver the lines, it doesn't just mean ancient in the sense of it was a religion that was around for a long time. They kind of say it in a way that infers that it hasn't been around for a while. Anyway, it's a bunch of horse shit. The prequels shouldn't exist, but they do exist. And so what do? You
don't need to you don't need to watch them. Like, it doesn't need to happen.
Okay, all right. But I have all 6 of them.
I know. I could throw them out.
But I have digital copies of them. My kids
can delete them.
All right.
No, it's just like, hey, there's this really bad thing that's before this.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch it? Well, it's really bad, so no. You can maybe when they're grown up, they're like, oh, I want to watch this other stuff, and you can be like, okay, we can watch it, but let me just tell you before we do, this is terrible, and it'll ruin the movies that you like.
Now, do you think by extension, do you think that the Abrams one is going to ruin things?
I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic because I remember, because like as we mentioned this before, we have seen the movie together, like Episode 1.
We did see Episode 1 together,
because you got like midnight tickets, and it was before the ones that I had bought in advance. So I watched it 2 times that day. Yeah, technically, and. I was just like, the first time I thought it was just because I saw it at like, I think the show was like past midnight. I think it was like 1 a.m, and like by the time we got out of there, it was like already
the sun was coming.
No, it was even later because the sun was coming up
when we left.
So it might have been like 3 a.m. that it started, and we got out, and it was like dawn, and we're like, what? And so I thought that might have been the reason. That I thought it sucked because I was just tired and whatever, and I somehow like, well, if it was me now doing that, I would have fallen asleep in the first 5 minutes. Especially if it was at that Tingsboro theater that has the reclining seats.
Yes.
I would be out like a light and be like, oh. Did I miss it? Damn.
I'm cautiously optimistic about the Abrams thing, but there's this part of me that thinks, like, now that Disney owns it, like Disney, I mean, Fox still owns the distribution rights to the original, I think. I don't know the details of the deal, but is there anything that Disney and the new stewards of the franchise could do to solve the problem of the prequels? I don't think there is, but I'd be really interested to see whether at some point.
That sounds like a Star Trek episode. The problems with prequels.
I would love it if there were some way they could solve that problem. But those 3 movies exist. We can't. I mean, and I had a student in class the other day. It turned into a whole thing, and I wish that it hadn't. Somebody brought up Star Wars. Kid next to me, Paul.
He was like, I'm gonna eat Chess and this other guy.
He's
and
like,
become like Chess.
He said, what movies? Right? And I was just like, oh god, let's pretend for a second, for the sake of this exercise, that the movies exist. And then the rest of the class, he's just like, what the fuck are these geeks talking about? Like, could we just get on with the class? Because that's the part of it that frustrates me. Geeks care intensely about the fact that the prequels suck, but everyone else, normal people, knows that the prequels exist, knows they might not be good, but doesn't understand that there's this whole movement among geeks to be like, the prequels don't exist. Well, we're having this conversation, and I lose half my damn class because they're like, what are they talking? What movies don't exist?
They do like, I mean, they do exist.
They do exist.
You don't have to watch them.
I don't have to watch them. I don't have to show them to my children. Yeah,
don't like say, hey, hopefully they don't know Roman numerals, so they'll be like episode IV. This is the intravenous episode. This is the one you start with, because you get IV when you're born.
Then you go to the episode V, the venereal disease episode.
Yes, because when you get older, you get chlamydia.
Yeah, and that episode, the whole beauty of that episode is that it feels kind of like chlamydia. It feels like down ending. Boba takes away Han and carbonite, and Luke gets his fucking hand cut off. It's kind of like a venereal disease. It's kind of like chlamydia. And then
keep going with this analogy because it's hilarious.
And then episode VI is what?
The next one.
The next one.
The fucking Muppets one.
The fucking Muppets. That joke doesn't make that much sense though, because it's not really that there are a bunch of Muppets. There's a bunch of height challenged people in furry costumes.
No, those were Muppets.
Those were the Ewoks were not Muppets.
Yeah, but it was Jim Henson that was doing.
I know, but there are people inside them. You want to complain about Muppets? That's Jabba and all that shit that's happening there. But the rest of the movie is oh my god, that part. I mean, yes, totally right on board when they did that Friends episode years later that was all about the Princess Leia costume and how that was going to be like the fantasy for all men of our generation and the previous generation. But when Jabba's tongue comes out and like goes like slips into her shirt, which is maybe that's not what happens, but in my memory,
it was a metal bikini.
No, before, because she's still like when she's still in like fully clothed before the bikini gets put on. There's a moment where she gets pulled close and his tongue comes out, and I don't know if it's what actually happens in the movie, but my memory is that his tongue like slips into her shirt, and it comes this kind of rapey scene, and it's a little.
Well, he doesn't actually rape her.
I don't know. She's in a fucking bikini.
All right, so bikinis. It's a
segue. Bikinis.
To the bikini issue, or the swimsuit.
The swimsuit issue.
Yes,
of Sports Illustrated. That is out.
No, it's funny because you sent me an email about it, because I'm like many Americans am unaware that magazines still exist.
Yes, they do.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Chris. We need to change that. Maybe this podcast will be like, hey, magazines are out there. Pick them up, especially ones that maybe you publish.
That I publish or that publish stories of mine. Yes.
Yeah. So, but there are magazines, and
some of them feature women on the cover in bikinis.
Yes. But there was a hullabaloo.
There was a hullabaloo. I will have to try and find where I first saw this hullabaloo. It might have just been in a series of tweets, so that may be why I can't.
There is, so therefore there isn't a hullabaloo.
No, there was a hullabaloo. The Hannah Davis, is that her name? Is that what we came up with?
Attractive lady there.
Hannah Davis, I believe, is the cover model for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue for 2015. In case you are listening to this 70 years from now and we didn't tell you what year it was.
Be like, well, the swimsuit. They got rid of the swimsuit.
They got rid of the swimsuit issue, and
they got rid of paper
naked
and
issue.
Yeah. That would just be porno magazines. Like,
well, no way. I mean, is a Greek sculpture of a naked woman? Is that a porno magazine?
Yes.
All right, so
you're like, you didn't expect me to say yes, did you?
I have learned not to expect anything. I expect the unexpected.
Good.
So Hannah Davis, I think it's Hannah Davis. She's on the cover of the 2015 issue, and she has a perfectly normal bikini top, bikini bottoms on. The hullabaloo was about how I think she has her thumbs wrapped around the strings on the bottom part of the bikini. She's kind of pulling it down as if she were about to take it off, and the bikini, the main part of the bikini is riding so low that were it to slip just a millimeter lower, we'd be seeing something. So there was a hullabaloo, right? And I looked at, and the reason that I brought this up, that I sent it in my list of possible topics to you, was that I keep going into this 7-Eleven when I'm on my way out of Cambridge at the end of the day.
And you're like, oh man, I could totally jack to that.
It's sitting right there at the checkout counter.
And you wanted to buy it so you could be like, listen, daughters, not this. Don't be this.
No, why? I understand. I get it. Kind of. Maybe. I guess. Or maybe I don't.
Keep them off the pole, Chris. Keep them off the pole.
Do you think Hannah Davis is going on a pole?
No.
Do you think Hannah... I mean,
But the thing is, like, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a bad road. Going on the pole is a bad road, but there are people that. If
people choose to go on the pole, it's not a bad road either, right?
I don't know. That's not necessarily the type. Occasionally, you hear the fun story about the gal that's stripping to put herself through college.
Sure,
and that's cool. I like that. Yeah. But a majority of the time, it's there may be other issues at play. Yeah.
But I'm saying whether or not there are issues at play, if there are issues at play that are forcing the woman to go and do it when she doesn't want to go and do it, then yeah, that's a problem. But in any case, regardless of whether or not she had issues early in her life, if she chooses to go out and do it, then what are we to?
So see, I like the choice, but the thing is when the choice isn't there.
Okay.
Like when you are like, I could either do this and make a decent amount of money, or work as fucking Walmart.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I get it.
Which just raised their minimum wage to $9 an hour.
Hooray for them.
I looked into that. Hold on.
Well, okay. I just want to say, you
can say that while I do the math here.
So the whole point of the swimsuit issue, right? The swimsuit issue originated because there was a lull in the winter months for Sports Illustrated. They needed.
Needed some gams and some tits.
They needed something to fill the winter months. And let's see. I'm just reading from the Wikipedia article. Swimsuit issue was invented by Sports Illustrated editor Andre Laguerre to fill the winter months, a typically slow point in the sporting calendar. He asked fashion reporter Jewel Campbell to go on a shoot to fill space, including the cover with a beautiful model. First issue, released in 1964, entailed a cover featuring Babette March and a 5-page layout. Right. Campbell soon became a powerful figure in modeling and molded the issue into a media phenomenon by featuring, quote, bigger and healthier, unquote, California women and printing the names of the models with their photos, beginning a new supermodel era. There are a lot of women, because of that supermodel era, who were able to parlay the fame that came with going on the cover into all sorts of things, whether it was fitness, whether it was whatever. I get the argument against over-sexualization. I totally do. But I don't you can be offended by the idea of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
But the thing is,
But
like, there's
to
so
be
many
offended-
worse things. Like,
There are so many worse things.
like, like, I don't know. Just like pursuing a career in engineering or whatever is probably more intellectually.
I don't know. It's one of these things. It's like I think I found an article where like she seemed genuinely like really excited that she made the cover, like, and that's one person's happiness. And,
yeah, like,
you know,
like I and she is providing happiness to other people in the world.
yeah, and you can get into the whole argument about whether or not she should be providing that happiness to the world because she's providing a sexualized image that young girls are going to see. I don't know. I don't know how to navigate this world. I really don't.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
it's understandable, Chris, because there's things like this out there. You have 2 daughters, and it's understandable. And you're like, hey, we want to, you go back to the Super Bowl ad where it's like, throw like a girl, like, or
right.
hashtag like a girl is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
when it actually is. No.
At any rate, I just I don't get it. I feel like there's a point at which we actually all kind of agree, and that we can't get there when it comes to.
But the thing is, like, I don't know. People like seeing things that they find attractive.
Sure.
Am I nuts in saying that?
I don't think you're nuts in saying that.
And if it doesn't exist on Sports Illustrated,
right?
It's going to exist in a more subversive area.
Sure. Now, I mean, I think maybe the argument.
And so, therefore, like, that subversive area is going to pay significantly less for people to do the things that they want them to do, and they're going to have to do weirder, nastier things. They're on Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Oh, we're covering up our nipples, and I'm in an exotic location, and whatever.
Right.
Like, I'm having a good time, and I just have to take some pictures, and then I get to have some fucking, like, drinks, and then have a good time and get paid. Like, and then be like everybody's Jack fantasy for fucking. A hot minute.
I don't know. And the thing is, it's like, the fact that it becomes... whatever. I'm not going to...
Because it's going to happen. Like
somebody's going to jerk off to the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
I don't know. It may be. Like, somebody might still be buying it.
Somebody might still be doing it.
But, yeah, I mean, like, no, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, like, people are going to be in bikinis, or people are going to be in, like, erotic positions and I'm gonna watch pornography. It's gonna happen, and like legit stuff like that. That doesn't. I can't say it doesn't objectify because it does, but it's gonna happen. Like, you have to just like seek out the stuff that's not terrible, and that someone is consenting, and I don't know, whatever.
Well, so here's a question, and maybe I kind of already know the answer to this, right? So I go into the supermarket, right? And we go down the magazine, because there is still a magazine section. I know you said you don't.
I didn't see it in Market Basket when I went shopping yesterday.
So, well, I shop at Shaw's, and there's a magazine section there. And we don't go down that aisle often, but occasionally we go down that aisle, me and the kids, right? And, there's all the health issue. A lot of the magazines that still exist are...
fitness shit.
Are fitness shit, with men and women...
like a man with like the every ab that
with
you can
every
ever have.
every fucking ab you can possibly get, and then that stuff is actually at sort of a higher adult level, cool, whatever. But what's at like any level right next to that? The romance novels, right? And so and maybe this is probably not the same thing because it's a painted version of a man, but all those dudes have their fucking shirts off. And they have the 6-pack, like 12-pack abs, like the 16-pack abs, like abs coming out of wherever. And is that any less harmful to kids than the swimsuit issue? I'm hard pressed to say that it's less harmful, because that's the guy that my daughter's gonna be. Oh, well, that's the guy that I want to hang out with.
With every ab
ever, and some fucking poor kid down the line is gonna think he doesn't stand a chance with any girl over sort of any average level of attractiveness, because those girls are only going to care about the guys with the six-pack abs, and he's got a spare tire and love handles. Maybe
well,
I'm
talking
talking about myself here, but like, like it's just there is a sort of impossible standard for men too.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, with both men and women with a level of charm, you can transcend your physical appearance.
I hope so.
I mean, I think both of us in our track records have.
Barely. I honestly, I think I ended up in a relationship with one of those rare people who doesn't care. But my prior experience, I mean, I just talked about it.
Yeah, it was really great.
It
wasn't a bummer at all.
My prior experience indicates to me that there's just as much of a standard for men as there is for women. I don't know. That's not to say that there isn't a whole lot of other shit that women have to deal with. I just think if the hullabaloo about the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue has to do with unfair beauty standards or over sexualization, I'm not buying.
I want to have this conversation again. Because we're very gender biased on the show.
We are very gender biased. I would like to have
a gal on the show sometime. Just so we can have this conversation and not seem like incredible sexists we are.
Yes, I would love to have that, because I honestly think...
Then we can have an honest conversation and everybody can call us assholes. It'll be great.
Yes, because I would like to hear a woman's perspective on it. And, I'm tempted, considering my classes are filled mostly with female students, of asking them about, like, if they have any opinion about this most recent issue, because I get that, like, yes, she is pulling down her bikini bottoms maybe further than they ever have before on the cover of a magazine, but going back as far as like 1978, I guess, was the very first big controversy where there was kind of a fishnet swimsuit on, who was it? Cheryl Tiegs.
Yeah.
Cheryl Tiegs resulted in 340 cancellations of the magazine in 1978.
Oh, no. And then probably 1 million subscriptions.
Yeah. And apparently every year until recently, they had quite a rash of unsubscribes following the swimsuit issue. But apparently now you can order the issue and check off a box that says, "Don't send me the swimsuit issue," and they'll give you an extra issue to the end of your subscription. So they offer,
just because we don't want
I mean, if it's somebody who is sensitive about it and that doesn't want that issue around their house, they do have that choice.
Or
I mean, it doesn't solve the problem of it being on newsstands, but soon there won't be any damn newsstands. So whatever.
Yeah, the guy in New York with the cigar hanging out of his mouth. You don't see that guy in movies anymore.
Yeah. Surprise! I mean, there was a period. I was gonna say out of town news in Harvard Square, which I passed by a lot this past week. That's still there, but there was a period of time where that big newsstand it's a cultural landmark in Harvard Square, was about to go out of business because
people aren't buying magazines or newspapers anymore.
Fuck print. Nobody cares about the printed word anymore.
I occasionally buy hard copies of comics.
Yeah, you have a whole bunch of One Piece over there.
Yeah, I gave you homework last week.
You did, and I it's not that I didn't want to do it. It's that I was away from my desk every day for an extended period of time, and I haven't had time to read anything for enjoyment.
And Brian will be very excited if you read One Piece.
If I read One Piece, okay.
So speaking of Brian,
Brian sent us a follow-up email based on last week's, and of course we can't read an email without that.
Yeah.
Says Brian, "Hi guys. I was working in the children's department of a library when The Hunger Games was first released, so I, by proximity to YA literature, I'm not trying to say I liked it before it was cool, was introduced to the most recent explosion of YA dystopian novels near the beginning of the trend. I read Divergent a few years later at the insistence of a friend of mine. I really liked the book as it fixed a lot of what I didn't like about the Hunger Games books. Then the second book of the trilogy came out and it was junk. Then the third book came out and I wasn't able to read it because it was so terrible. The writing is so poor that it is nearly unreadable. It is a nearly unreadable book. So Veronica Roth may have sold her first book and film rights early, but I think she is a case of someone who had too much success too young and wasn't able to follow up on a decent enough first book.
Am I nuts? I don't remember talking about this.
I think we did talk about it. We talked about Divergent because I had just seen Divergent.
Oh.
And I got a
This
little...
is like another, like, more evidence that I don't pay attention to what you say.
Plus, she is way too Jesus-y thanks to the... she thanks him at the end of every book. And you can see the overt evangelical Calvinist Christianity come out in the later books. You might also like this Twitter account. He points towards the Twitter account Dystopian YA. And what's funny that he it's good to hear him say that, because I was last episode as an author kind of bummed to find out that Veronica Roth had so much success so early. And I am so old and have yet to have very, very much success at all.
Now I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. It was the bummer part. That's
Yeah.
You know what it is.
I try to get the bummer parts out of my brain. And
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
So it's funny that Brian brings up Dystopian YA, the Twitter account, because this week I read a really, to sort of turn that whole Veronica Roth thing on its head, some good news in the world of literature. The person behind Dystopian YA is the same person behind this other great Twitter account called Guy in Your MFA, which makes fun of pretentious writing students. So you can understand why I'm a fan. And it turns out, and I'll link this in the show notes, that the person behind Guy in Your MFA and Dystopian YA is actually this female undergraduate. I think she's an undergraduate. She might be a graduate student who got similarly frustrated to the way that I get frustrated, except she was a student and was frustrated by her classmates about what they were writing. And she went on, created these kind of joke Twitter accounts, and she's getting not only book deals from people who don't understand that they're jokes, which I think is hilarious, but she's also getting legit book deals from people who want to, publish her humor. So I think, I don't know why that depresses me less than Veronica Roth, because we're still talking about an undergraduate getting success really young. But I'm happy to see that this person who makes me laugh every day is getting. So
maybe, just maybe, we'll make the right person laugh. I don't think we have made anybody laugh yet.
This episode or the whole run?
Oh, yeah, 31 episodes. It's tough. But eventually, and Brian also sent us a little.
He did, yes.
Because I wanted like a pinball t-shirt,
a t-shirt idea. So yeah, Brian.
And then okay, so if you are unfamiliar with the pinball machine Captain Fantasy. I believe it's Captain Fantasy. I might be wrong, but it's the one with Elton John on the front, and he's wearing like crazy boots, and and he's kind of like playing the pinball machine, and he's kind of like looking behind him,
while you're playing the pinball.
I've been photoshopped onto it, and then like Chris was photoshopped.
I didn't even notice at first that I was on the that I was on there, but I'm apparently on there as well.
Yeah, you're like I don't know I think it's a man that you are, but you're like holding out your arms like oh how fantastic.
I was going to ask you to explain how I was holding out my arms because I saw it, but when you said how fantastic, I think that should paint.
And there's like some interesting like the guy that you are on the shoulders of a man
of giants.
It kind of looks like Ron Swanson, and he's got laser beams shooting out of his eyes. Like exactly. I don't know if that's like the actual like the next time I go to Pinball Wizard, I'm gonna have to check out the art on this glass here just to like see what it's actually. But yeah, it's an interesting.
It is a very
concept, and I hope, and I like because it's like Bally's Captain Fantasy or whatever, and then it'll say and it says and the brown dirty cowboy, and I don't know where that person is on there.
But there's a brown dirty cowboy,
probably. So yeah.
I think I might be a woman in this.
I think you are.
I think I am a woman.
There's a lot of women on there.
There are.
I was hoping for the Gomez Morticia thing, but
whatever. But this is pretty good. I dig this. At any rate.
So yeah, what do we got? Plugs? How
Plugs,
far are we?
I think so. We are at 109.
Wow, we're well over.
We are well over. You
could actually cut some shit out.
I could cut some shit. I could cut some shit.
Gross.
Oh God, that is gross. So yes, plugs. Of course, this episode you're listening to it, so we don't need. Show notes for this episode can be found at clarkwoods.com/hot/31.
We already said that earlier.
We said that earlier, but in case you forgot, in case you're like Steve and you tuned out.
Well, you were talking about bummer things.
Bummer things. You can find me on Twitter at ECC1977.
And you can call me
You
Al.
can call you Al.
No, you can get to me on Twitter at Tuesday is is loser.
Not is twice.
Not
Tuesday
is twice.
Is is just Tuesday is.
Tuesday is loser.
Yes.
Like there's no apostrophe. It's just all one word. Tuesday is loser.
Tuesday is loser.
Fucking idiots that don't get that.
You have to spell it for them every time. Yes. I don't understand why.
Yeah, well, I have yet to get a new follower because of this show. So
it's because everyone follows you. They're all your fans. I have yet to get anything out of this show.
Oh, well, I guess both of us are just...
follow us.
Yeah, what the fuck? Twitter sucks.
Twitter.
But it doesn't suck as much as Facebook, but...
Oh, no, it does not.
All right.
Hey, what color was the dress?
What dress?